Recognize. Umbral Walker. D01. Recognize. Joe Demoniac. D05.
Today in the cave, we have close friend of the show, the jack of all trades, master of none, DM Joe Demoniac, aka Neal Powell. Neal's the host of DMnastics on the Block Party Podcast Network. DMnastics is a role-playing game-focused podcast that provides brilliant exercises for game masters, for players, and for writers of all kinds to stimulate both their imagination and their storytelling skills. Neal, welcome to the cave, sir.
Thank you. To say I'm excited to be here would be quite the understatement. I've wanted to be here, I think, before you could be here, if that makes any sense. Oh, well, we're here now, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that in a little bit as well, Mr. Been a supporter of the show.
Yes. Before it was all the way a show, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Before it was a gleam in Caleb and my eye. That's getting weird. Anyway, before we begin, I want to remind everyone that our discussion episodes draw on anything and everything related to Young Justice, including both seasons of the TV series, the comics, and in this case, the video game Legacy. If you've not seen, read, or played all of the material and are spoiler wary, consider this your warning. So with all that, let's dive in. And with that, I'm going to actually warn myself because I've never played Legacy. So I'm basically going to get new Young Justice right now, which is one of the reasons my head's about ready to explode. I'm excited.
Yeah. You aren't ready.
I'm not ready? Uh-oh. No. I love it. All right, man. Before we get too far into it, I gave a little bit of an intro, but can you tell us a little bit more about like who you are, what you do?
Yeah. I mean, you already mentioned DMnastics, and then more consistently, I am on the main podcast, the Dungeon Masters block, and everything else with the Block Party Podcast Network. So Geek Wars, a geek trivia show, GM Showcase, where we highlight GMs from around the industry, one of which is, of course, Rich Howard. That's coming, and that's about it. I do a lot of editing for that, but keeps me on my toes.
Yeah. You do so much stuff, man. For those of you who are interested, actually, my first podcast guest appearance of all time was on episode 19 of the Dungeon Masters block. If you want to go listen to me jabber on about adventures in aquatic settings, we do end up talking about DC Comics superhero stuff. I think Mitch and I went head to head on a Namor versus Aquaman conversation there at some point.
Nice.
Anyway, so Neal, when did you first watch Young Justice? And what was your experience with DC Comics or comics in general before you watched the series?
So it was definitely once it was on Netflix. I didn't watch it when it aired, and I would wager that it was your fault that I watched it, and I thank you for that.
Oh, really? For some reason, I thought it was way before that.
No.
Well, you're welcome.
Everything that is small screen DC, I am a big fan of. I'm super into the Arrowverse and all that is. And their animated movies are also amazing. So that's what kind of gateway drugged me into Young Justice. And in terms of comic books, big Marvel fan. Anything and everything Marvel. I've been reading those for quite some time. But since the new Rebirth, I have started reading everything within the Bat family of comic books.
Yeah, the bats are a gateway drug for sure.
Yeah, so everything that is Bat, I read now. Nothing else from the DC universe except all things Bat.
That's fair. Speaking of the show then, did you get to binge both seasons then, or did you watch the first season and then have to wait like a lot of people did for the second?
Yes.
You had to wait?
I did, but it was Netflix had the second season for a little bit, and then I was binging the first, and then the second got taken away.
Oh, weird. I don't remember that.
I went and bought the second.
Oh, nice. Well played.
On Amazon because I was like, no. No, thank you, Netflix.
Well played.
Then I've rewatched it since the hashtag Keep Binging YJ has been prominent, and I've watched it on multiple accounts. So
nice.
I've been trying to help keep binging.
We appreciate that. Are there specific episodes, characters, any story arcs that kind of jumped out at you that you connected with at all?
Favorite episode is Failsafe.
Ugh, good call. We're actually just about ready to get to record the review of that one. Man.
Yeah, that's a roller coaster. And the implications that happen for the entire team after that.
Yeah, we get into talking about that because the dream episodes like that can sometimes be an issue. But in this one, they couldn't have done it any better. Yeah.
And then in terms of like arcs that I enjoy, anything to deal with Dr. Fate and that kind of putting on that mantle.
Yeah.
Has been pretty entertaining through the whole series.
Nice. And rolling into that, like as a professional gamer and storyteller, is there anything from the show that's inspired you at the gaming table? Maybe running a superhero role-playing game, or trying out a new game, or reskinning storylines, characters?
I think, I mean, and this should come as no surprise, especially for you. I think watching Young Justice is a great example of how to plant seeds and then fertilize, grow, and then watch them be something more than anyone would have ever expected when you were initially planting them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think just better storytelling in general. I have thought about the idea of a superhero-based game, but I'm too stuck in my ways. So I don't know if it'll happen.
What about that Dr. Fate? I actually never thought about trying to reskin Dr. Fate into a sci-fi or a fantasy tabletop game.
Would be one heck of an item.
Interesting, yeah. I wonder how we maybe need to chat about that at some point.
Ooh, I like that idea.
Nice. So let's dive into the body of the show here.
Hey, what's shaking, peeps?
Peeps? Really? He didn't have his pancakes today.
So as we mentioned before, you've been following the development of Whelmed since the beginning. In fact, you put together a spreadsheet of Young Justice-related media for us that shows what order to watch things, read, play, to experience Young Justice chronologically. When I saw that sheet, I remembered the video game, which I actually, as I mentioned, haven't played. So then you and I were talking about it, and I was like, you need to come on the show, and because I'm not going to get a chance to play it, unfortunately. Life's pretty busy. I just was like, let's get you on the show. Let's have you talk about it and tell us all about the details. So a couple of questions just to get our feet under us here. Like, since I don't know that much about the game, when does it take place in the continuity? Is it in season 1? Is it between the seasons? Is it season 2? What is it?
So it's between the seasons, and technically it starts about 11 months before season 2 kicks off.
Oh, whoa, really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's much later than I thought. For some reason I thought it was in season 1 or just after season 1. Wow, okay, that's well into the 5 years. Huh.
Yeah.
So who are the team members then? Has Aqualad remained on the team? Has he left yet? Now I'm just full of questions now. I'm like, okay. Is Tula on there? Tell me all about it.
Okay, so I will tell you all about it. So Tula is a part of the team. She's not a playable character. Garth as Tempest is a playable character. Aqualad, Robin, Nightwing. So, I mean, because we're far enough along that's possible.
Wait. So it's the Tim Drake, Robin, and Nightwing?
Yeah, both are available.
Ah, okay. That gives some perspective on when Jason Todd died then. Okay.
Yeah, Batgirl.
You can play Batgirl?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm freaking buying this game immediately. Oh my God. Okay.
Well, so imagine you could play, I mean, and you don't get access to all the characters right away, but at one point you can be in Gotham City playing Batgirl, Robin, and Nightwing together.
Yeah, it's a
Blew
podcast.
Your mind.
I can't process. Okay, just keep talking.
Okay, so I actually also bought the extra pack because I bought it on Steam, which...
Oh, wait, there's a downloadable content thing, a DLC?
Blue Beetle, Lagoon Boy, oh my gosh, who else? Rich, you're blowing my mind. You got too excited and you scared me.
I'm sorry. I'm well known for my lack of enthusiasm.
Yeah, if I say the wrong thing, the internet will find me. And we don't want that.
So while you're looking it up, though, do you play everyone at once? Do you play a team group of people? Do you play one person at a time?
So you do play teams.
Okay.
But you have a team leader. So essentially the story specifically revolves around one person for a set amount of time. From there, you can select 2 more characters that you can play. And then you go through and you play the level.
Are the arcs set like, okay, in this, say that, I don't know how many scenes there are, but say there's like 10 scenes in the game. Like in this scene, it's Aqualad is leading and you can pick 2 companions.
Yes.
In this scene, it's Nightwing and 2 companions. That's what you mean?
Yeah, exactly. So, and it is arcs. So like usually for a whole setting, because you have Greece, Siberia, Santa Prisca, Gotham, and Bialya as settings. And you have a different team leader for each of them. Okay, here we go. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I thought I was ready, but I was not ready. But I'm ready now. I might be ready now.
So we can play Artemis, Aqualad, Kid Flash, Miss Martian, Nightwing, Superboy, Beast Boy, Zatanna, Tempest, Robin, Rocket, Batgirl. But then you also have, like I said, those extra ones that you can buy. So Blue Beetle, Lagoon Boy, and 2 others that for the life of me I don't play. So I don't know who they are.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go find it. Making me want to go find it. Okay, so I know the answer to this question, I'm sure, but the storyline in game plays into the story arcs that we know from the show, or
Yes.
is it relatively self-contained? Okay, so it does. No, he says no.
No, it's not. I mean, yes, and it only happens over the span of 2 days. But what they're doing is they're trying to find these
The
specific.
game. Well, sorry. Back that up. So the whole storyline from the game takes place over 48 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. How long is the gameplay? Like, how long did it take you to finish it?
Not too long. Probably, I mean, definitely like 10 or 15 hours or so of play. It's really not a very long game. And it's also not a very great game in terms of gameplay itself.
Okay. Well, let's talk about that in a minute. Let's stick with the positive storyline stuff.
Oh, yeah. Positive is for sure the storyline. So essentially, you're trying to find a doctor that they've stolen, because of course you are. And
Right, of course.
they have these items that put together form a weapon.
Okay.
And the light is trying to get this to happen. So you go through and you're searching and trying to think how to best explain this and then watch you understand it.
Maybe we should have videotaped this one.
Yeah. So essentially, I'll do like a brief rundown of the story. So if you're going to play this game, get ready, because I'm going to break it down for you.
Okay.
So you're in Greece, you play as Artemis, you fight Cheshire, you fight Sportsmaster, because of course you do.
Yeah.
Then you follow Sportsmaster to Siberia, where the team leader is now Superboy, and Superman shows up to help. And their interaction at the end of it is amazing. Like, they're using each other's Krypton-based names, and like you can already tell that the relationship has really changed for them. And that's awesome. But then you move on.
Nice.
The weirdest part is having the team leader be whoever it is and your other two people not talk, which I understand from a gameplay perspective, but that's obvious. That's always the weirdest thing.
That's tough for me because after playing games like Mass Effect and stuff like that, and knowing how great the voice actors were for the show and things like that, I mean, I'm sure they didn't have a Mass Effect budget by any means, but still, that'll jump out at me, I'm sure.
Yeah, but you can always choose which ones make the most sense to you to not talk, so that option is available.
Okay, gotcha.
From there, we head to Santa Prisca, and Aqualad is the team leader because Aquaman was out there and they haven't heard from him. You end up fighting Bane.
Okay.
Which is the first time that it's like a really intricate boss battle. So by the end, though, you fight the Black Manta submarine, and then Black Manta himself, who falls to the ground and says, maybe you should ask your king, essentially about your parents.
Interesting.
And we get to see the scene between Aquaman and Aqualad, where Aquaman is forced to tell him that Black Manta is his father.
No.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, no. Now I have to find time to play this. I've got to see that.
It's so good. And Aqualad is pissed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It just walks away.
Yeah.
Just walks away from Aquaman. And we don't see him interact with him again.
Interesting. So we talked about this. By the time this one airs, we'll have already aired the Aqualad episode. And in that, we talk about the fact that his name, Calderon, actually comes from Cal Durham. Cal Durham was a supporting cast character in the Aquaman comics in the 70s who was a follower of Black Manta who had been genetically altered to be able to breathe water and survive underwater, and left Black Manta to actually live in Atlantis. He was supposed to be a plant, but he's flipped sides. It was a character from the 70s, so that's where Calder gets his name, and Calder is his, he thinks Cal Durham is his dad, as far as I know, or maybe he knows he's adopted. I don't know. I'm not sure. But, we get into that a little bit. Man, I want to see that scene in a bad way.
Yeah, it's really good. I can't tell you how awesome it was because it's planting the seeds. But then for me playing the game, it's like, are you going to? Are you going to? You're going to.
Nice.
You're going to show it to me. And then there we go.
So that was at Santa Prisca or?
Yeah, that was at the end when after saving Aquaman by defeating Black Manta, and then Black Manta plants those seeds and passes out. And then Calder confronts Aquaman after saying, you need to talk to me.
Yeah.
And then Aquaman's like, you should go talk to your parents. And he says, no, I'm talking to you.
Ooh.
And yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I want to see that.
It's so good.
Nice.
Just so you know, I feel like this is a question we might have thought to ask, but if not, all of the voice acting, with the exclusion of maybe one or two, is the original voice actors.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, actually. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I think the only one that stuck out as might be Bane, but that's Danny Trejo, so it might make sense why they didn't get him back for a video game.
Yeah, I think he's probably doing Guardians at the time. Yeah.
Yep. So then Gotham City is the next place we go. Surprise, Nightwing is the team leader.
Shocking.
And you're fighting the Riddler's goons.
Oh, jeez.
And-
Oh, they have Enigma in this? They have the Young
Yeah.
Justice Enigma.
Mm-hmm.
He's such a goofball.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. D'Amato. I think James D'Amato and I is going to come on the show, and we're going to talk about the villains and kind of how they handle the villains. And I'm sure...
I think at one point Nightwing says something like, I'm getting sick and tired of this gap-toothed fool or something like that.
Yeah.
But you go through and you end up actually... This is probably, I mean, not that it wouldn't have been for you anyways, but this is probably one of the best from a gameplay perspective. You actually get planted boxes from Haley's circus. So you go to the circus, you almost get the doctor, and then you get knocked out by Simon.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And then you have to have this super crazy mental battle against your like shadow versions and him.
Ooh.
And then you get out, only to find out that the Riddler was controlling him while he's still in a coma.
Oh, right, because Simon was in a coma from the end of... Oh, right.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And then you go through the Riddler's Funhouse, which is not very fun. I'll throw that out there.
Great.
It was a lot of riddles and a lot of puzzles, and I'm like, that's not what I want from this.
Right.
That's not what I want from this at all. And then you find out that all the stuff they're trying to put together is actually a weapon called Tiamat, which really played to my Dungeons and
Wow,
Dragons
really? Interesting.
sensibilities and like super crazy in-depth like Babylonian gods backstory and all this stuff. But then you find out that Aqua Girl is not responding to comms, and that you actually see the final, like the scene where she's tricked by Clarion to give Clarion all the pieces of this weapon.
Oh, no.
And then she chases after him as he creates a portal and leaves.
Okay.
So then we do some techno magic with Zatanna, and we find out that she's in Bialya.
Okay.
So Aqua Lad is now the team leader again. And we follow him as he goes, and we go through all these crazy temples. And then the coolest thing happens where he says, I need help. Nightwing says, okay, we'll be there. And you essentially go now back and forth playing two teams, Alpha and Beta.
Ooh, that's kind of cool.
And the team so the team you create for Alpha, those extra two can't be used for Beta.
Yeah.
And so you essentially have 6 that you're playing back and forth as you're going through this temple trying to save her.
Interesting. Yeah, yeah.
And you end up fighting, Beta team fights Tiamat in this like water form, then a big dragon form, then a like buffed out dragon form, while team Alpha fights Clarion and Blockbuster.
Did you almost say Alpha Flight?
Yes. While Alpha Flight,
that's a
Sasquatch,
whole different
Sasquatch,
show.
Puck, they fight.
Snowbird and...
Yeah. No,
Sorry, Marvel joke there, guys, for those who don't know. Go ahead.
Yeah, so they fight Clarion and Blockbuster while the other team is trying to defend Tiamat. And that's when you find out that Aqua Girl is going to hold back Tiamat, only to then realize that the only way to do it is to sacrifice herself.
Oh, and she's not on Aqualad's team. She's somewhere else. Oh,
yeah.
She's fighting Tiamat. Oh, no.
Yep. So she does. She sacrifices herself in a cutscene to kill and seal Tiamat away, and her final words are, I love you, Garth.
Oh, gut punch.
Yeah.
Oh, buddy. I'm tearing up, actually.
Yeah, so this is the end, and then he actually runs in and like comes in and holds her.
Garth or Calder?
Garth. And Calder runs in and he's like, I'm so sorry. But then this is where you cut back to like the team debriefing.
Okay.
And it's like motivational speech from non-motivational speech from Batman. This is
classic Bruce Greenwood non-motivational speech.
Yeah. This is not the first we've lost, nor will it be the last. I'm like, hey, come on.
Yeah.
And so Nightwing steps in and essentially says that we can't let this be in vain. And talking to Garth, and he's like, right, Calder? And he's not there.
Oh.
And so the final scene is a message saying, I told you that I would let you lead when you were ready, and you are ready, and I need to go answer questions for myself. I'll see you when I see you. Done.
Nice.
That is Legacy.
Okay. Give me a moment to process.
Yeah.
So, okay, I have some questions.
Done. I'm ready.
So first, let's talk about, so when was the game released? Was it released? Because here's the thing, with the original show's release schedule, they had a 6-month delay in the middle of season 1, and then some crazy delays later in season 1, so much so that when season 1 finale happened, the season 2 premiere happened the week after. because they were so delayed. So theoretically, it sounds like the game should have been released in between those 2 seasons. But do you know what happened with that?
I do. So the game would have released 6 months after season 2's finale.
Oh, okay. I mean, I appreciate it, I guess, but like that's unfortunate because if they could have timed that better.
Oh, yeah.
And had an appropriate like season break and dropped the game in the middle and had that happen and then lead right into the first episode of Young Justice, or not even the first, but like the, by the time you get to the 3rd or 4th and you realize what happens with Calder and where he is and what's happening, God, that would have been amazing.
Yeah.
So the storyline sounds fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard nothing fantastic about the gameplay itself. Like, is there a teamwork focus with the group that you're using? Is there, like you said, the gameplay wasn't that great.
Part of that's going to come from the fact that I played it on PC, and it's very evident that that was not the intent for this game.
You mean it was console?
Yeah, it should be played on a console, and if you play on a console, you can have 3 people playing at the same time.
Oh, see, that appeals to me, actually.
Oh, yeah, that would completely change the gameplay. But on the PC, you can switch through your characters.
Sure.
Because if a character goes down, you can switch to another one, run over and heal them, and they'll come back up.
Heal them? What do you mean? Like,
essentially, they go to 0. You get them back to like 25% if you can go over there and
just like wake them
click
up.
a button.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
And it does make sense to switch through them based on their abilities and like when certain ones have like their special abilities charged up.
Mm-hmm.
And like you getting to choose when and where those should happen. So it does have a decent amount of playing to the strengths of who you have on your team.
Yeah.
But in terms of what you're doing, it's very straightforward, kind of like beat 'em up, just smash through.
Yeah. Man, back in the day, back in the days of arcades, just before arcades really started dying, they put out a 4-player X-Men console. It was kind of like, if anybody remembers Gauntlet back in the day, where you can have 4 people standing around and playing this game and team working together to tell the story. It was fantastic. The whole reason I even bought an Xbox in the first place was because there was a fantastic game called Hunter the Reckoning, where it was
I love that game.
You love that game?
Yeah.
It's a great game, and it's like a top-down, perspective. You get 4 players, you're all on the screen together with this top-down view, and it's a lot of teamwork and working together. It was a fantastic game. So the idea of having a Young Justice game where I could have 3 people, 2 other people with me working together as the game progresses sounds really, really cool. So I like that idea, but then what about the mechanics, like the fight scenes, and like tell me a little bit about how like the perspective of the game. It's clearly not a first person.
No. It's more third, and you can rotate the camera around. When you're playing by yourself. I mean, I assume it would be a stationary camera if you're playing with multiple people.
Right.
But so you can move the camera all around. At certain scenes you can't because it doesn't make sense why you would be able to spin around on certain areas.
Yeah.
But it is also pseudo RPG in that when you're leveling up, you can choose which of your skills you want to level up further.
Okay.
And which to make more powerful, aka you just pick Artemis and you do her like multi-shot and you just level it up all the way and you're awesome.
Because multi-shot, man. two weapon fighting and multi-shot.
It just rains arrows down. The only problem with picking a special and using it continually is that you will then hear the catchphrase that is associated with it very, very regularly.
Like what? Can you give us some examples?
Today's forecast, raining arrows. And then she just shoots them. And I don't care what the forecast is anymore.
What are some of the other like specials that they have for some of the characters? Like which characters do you play regularly?
So Artemis, Superboy, and usually either Nightwing or Calder. I'll put it in there.
Okay, gotcha. And now it sounded like the team leaders just rotated between Nightwing, Aqualad, and Superboy?
Artemis for the first, Superboy,
Artemis, that's
Aqualad,
right,
Nightwing, Aqualad.
Gotcha. Okay. Interesting to see Superboy as team leader. I'd really like to see that scene with him and Superman. That's fantastic.
Yeah, that one was really good too.
Nice. Now, so taking into account that this is a computer game translated from a console game, did you find the gameplay difficult or was it just not very interesting? Unpack that a little bit.
Yeah, so it wasn't that interesting until there were some of the later episodes.
That's fair.
Yep. Missions that started adding in some puzzle-based elements. when things needed to be thought through more. Like I said, the first time that I had to really think about a boss fight was Bane. The only way to really get any damage on him was to have him charge you, but put a column in between you and him. And that would daze him for a little bit, and then you could fight him and do some like serious damage. So stuff like that. And then there were also puzzle elements in the missions themselves. So that's when it started getting that variance was better. But when you're just like mowing through goons, it's the same stuff the whole time.
Oh, yeah. That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
So if you're not a Young Justice fan, would you recommend the game as a game to play? Would you think it would pull people in? Is it something people can use as a gateway to Young Justice?
No, it doesn't hold up well enough.
No.
The graphics aren't the best in the world. I think that if you had already watched Young Justice, yes, 100% it's worth playing.
Okay.
Because you also get a little bit of banter in the middle of missions back and forth.
Yeah.
Just remembered one that wasn't any fun. Sorry.
Oh.
There's a Green Lantern one where he just like creates a shield and it's like an escort mission. And it's not very fun.
Okay. That sounds
I'm sorry.
weird.
So like a temple's falling down and you have saved hostages. So then he creates like a bubble and is just like walking through the halls while you fight off bad guys until you get to the end of the hall and then you won.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is sounding super like late 90s, mid 90s, late 90s, like not super thought out, layered kind of gameplay.
But the fact that it's all the same voice actors, it's the characters you know and love, and it is some heavy, heavy story by the end. I think it's worth playing if you know Young Justice.
So then here's my question. To be able to see these scenes, am I going to have to buy the game to play it? Or can I see these scenes? Have you dug around the internet and found them? Or what's up with that?
By the power of YouTube, you can definitely just watch like if you go to YouTube and search anything like Young Justice Legacy or Young Justice Legacy movie, you'll probably find a few good cutscenes. And the one I found was really good on boosting the audio, making sure that was quality. Because I mean, that's really more of what you're getting because it is the in-game engine. And while not great, it does help to have boosted audio.
Nice.
So
can you, I tell you what, why don't you see if you can find that one again, send us the link. We will definitely put that in the show notes and slap it on the website as well so that people can go see it and I can go see it as well.
Yes.
It's like a whole fresh new episode of Young Justice.
It's almost 50 minutes long.
Seriously? It's like a mini movie. I love it. Fantastic. So is there anything else that you want to talk about? There's a couple things that we wanted to touch on about the comics, I think, like, because, I mean, we were focusing on the video game here, but you've been kind of diving into the associated media in general. You provided this list for us about the comics and things like that. Have you caught up on all the comics at this point?
Yes, almost.
Yes.
I'm close. So there's actually another set of comics that I haven't finished because I was working through the game.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you check out the document that I made, you can see the chronological order as well as the release order for everything. Yeah. And there's a set of comics that occur 1 month before the second season comes out. And I have not read those. So I've read everything that's peppered into the first season. And then I played the game. And then I'm about to read the comics that are 1 month before the second season. Then rewatch the second season.
Ah, fantastic. We'll also have a link to that Excel spreadsheet that Neal so graciously created for us. Thank you so much.
It's got colors and stuff.
It's like all high tech.
Yeah.
Colory. Nice. Well, Neal, thanks so much for spending some time with us in the cave.
Of course.
Where can people find you here on Earth Prime?
If you want to follow me personally, you can follow me on Twitter at JokeMoniac. If you want to follow the show that I do, you can do it at DMnastics. And we actually put out daily DMnastics. So if you don't get enough from the show itself, you can always head over to Twitter. And for everything else I do, you can head over to blockpartypodcastnetwork.com.
Nice. I encourage everyone to go check out DMnastics. The DMnastics gym is fantastic. The exercises there are nothing short of inspiring. And if you want to go over to Twitter, if you're a writer, if you're not a gamer, if you're a writer, head over to Twitter and check out the DMnastics, Daily DMnastics. They post photos and phrases and things that, I mean, can you elaborate on that? Because even if you're a writer, you're looking for just an idea for an exercise for a day. They're amazing.
So if you head over, there is a image that is posted every weekday. Sometimes the whole week is themed, sometimes they're not. But you've got Monster Monday, Terrain Tuesday, Weapon Wednesday, Thaumaturgy Thursday, and Filter Friday, pH filter like a potion.
Oh, look at you guys. I was like, what's he going to do for Thursday? Nice.
Yeah, and then the other one is sometime during the weekend, I'll also post an image that I found and call it Weekend Warriors. So some random image of random race class combo, something that I like, and throw it up there as well.
And you don't just have an image, right? Do you ask a question or like something to prompt people?
Yeah, pretty basic questions because, of course, we're only working with 140 characters. Just kind of like, where did this come from? How do your players fit into this? Essentially, how can you take this image, be inspired, and fit it into your game or your world?
Yeah, it's amazing, guys. Definitely go check it out. Thanks to everyone for sharing time with us. You can find us on Twitter at the YJ Files, on Facebook at www.facebook.com/crashingthemode, and on our website, www.crashingthemode.com. And if you enjoy our show, please consider sharing it with a friend. You can also link over to Whelmed, the Young Justice Files on iTunes or your podcatcher of choice and leave us a 5-star rating. The ratings help us stay trot and, of course, help others find the show. If you do leave us a rating, please let us know, especially if you're outside the U.S. We know we do have some outside of the U.S. listeners. If you leave reviews on podcatchers or iTunes, we have to look a little harder to find those. Also, don't forget to hashtag Keep Binging YJ on Netflix. Or if you don't have access to Netflix, please pick up the show on DVD or digital. You can also check out the associated comics at your friendly local comic shop or on Comixology. Of course, pick up the video game if you want to play it through yourself, or check out the YouTube video and share everything with a friend.
And stay whelmed, everyone.
You've been listening to Whelmed, the Young Justice Files podcast. Our computer is voiced by Madison Ray. Our theme was composed by Emily Mio. Our logo was created by Kevin Bates. Whelmed is a fan-made podcast and is not officially affiliated with DC Comics, DC Entertainment, Warner Brothers Animation, and any other owners of Young Justice or its related source material. As such, these companies have sole ownership of all symbols, images, names, logos, and proprietary material related to Young Justice. Original content of this podcast is ours under Creative Commons. Thanks for listening, and stay whelmed.